Okay, today we have markets slightly weaker, and the reason why markets are slightly weaker is because there is speculation that the US may actually be entering this war. You had this Truth Social post by Trump. He says Iran should have signed the deal I told them to sign. What a shame, a waste of human lives. Simply stated, Iran cannot have nuclear wars. And then he told everyone to immediately evacuate Tehran, warning everyone to evacuate Tehran, and that caused havoc on the streets of Tehran. I'll show you some images later, and that's causing the markets to be down because the last thing that they want is they don't want the US entering the fray. But the truth is, when you look at the oil price and you look at the war line, which is this downward trend line of oil since 2022, what you can see is that the markets aren't very worried about escalation just yet, and that it may be just a whole lot of posturing and a whole lot of noise. But regardless of the posturing and the noise, I guess what you can say is that the altcoins are feeding it a lot. And I think I want to talk about altcoins today because other than talking about the war and everything else, I really want to talk about making money in crypto, and specifically making money in crypto altcoins, because it's been really, really tough to make money in crypto and altcoins. But that's maybe because we're not looking in the right place. And in fact, our duty as investors, when our sector is not really performing very well, is to actually go to sectors that are actually performing very well. And today I'm going to show you a sector where there's actually a major frenzy. And not only is there a major frenzy, but there's thousands and thousands and thousands of % returns to be made if you know exactly where you're looking. And that's what I want to show you what I want to show you today. So we'll get our updates on the war. We'll talk about FOMC, we'll talk about Pump.Fun suspension, but then I want to show you where there is an altcoin frenzy and you can actually be making money. So that sounds good to you. You know what to do. Obliterate the like button, subscribe, and let's go. Okay, I want to just address a few things in the chat. Dro says, run. Prove this isn't a pre-record by reading this comment. I just proved to you it's not a pre-record. I very rarely do, very rarely do pre-records. Someone says, why is it so difficult to be on time? It's you guys that are not on time. I only start when there's 1,000 people in the waiting room. What's the saying that we used to say? We say we don't perform in nightclubs, in bars. We only perform in stadiums. So we wait for 1,000 people before we actually start the show. Someone said, I liked the video before the show even started. That's exactly what I need you guys to do. Got a big show today because I read this tweet today from 𝗙cie𝗹𝗹𝗀, and it pretty much summarized something very cool for me. It says basically, every cycle founders chase a fireball of hot money. Last cycle, it meant launching a token. Crypto capital markets were white hot. This cycle, it's bringing your token to the stock market, a treasury company. But hot money never stays put, which is why treasury companies will not be the final meta, but I guess 1 to 2 years of this until the heat dies down. And what I think he's alluding to the fact that there's always a hot ball of money to be made. And if you're actually playing in the right narratives, then you can actually tap into this hot ball of money. But if you're not playing in the right narratives, then maybe you're looking here, but actually you're not looking at the place where the charts are actually doing this. Right? And so today I'm going to show you a playbook of how you can actually make money on this meta that's currently developing. I'm going to show you the risks. I'm going to show you basically an entire playbook. So really, it's a big show today. If that sounds good to you, I see there's a lot of people here in the chat today. Amazing. Make money on stocks. Yes, big alpha coming today. Smash a like. Lovely new jacket. I must say, I love this jacket. I don't know. I mean, I love this jacket. I'll show you this jacket. It's very cool. What do you think? Do you love it? Eh? Everyone loves the new jacket. Eh? It's quite a cool jacket, I must say. Really cool jacket. Really cool jacket. Anyway, let's get the show on the road. Comments about the jacket here. Lovely new jacket. Chris is saying lovely new jacket. Yeah, let's get into it. Lots of alpha coming today. It's when you see the markets and the markets keep moving sideways, it's very difficult to bring you guys alpha every single day. But we seem to, with the help of our researchers, we do seem to find alpha every single day. Every single day we bring you alpha. All right, so let's talk about what's going on in the markets quickly. Let's quickly just do the formalities and cover the war. As I say, the markets aren't really perturbed, as you can see. This is what I'm calling the war line. It's the 2-year or the downward sloping trend line of oil since 2022. It's telling you, for as long as we stay under this line over here, it's telling you that the market's not really worried about escalation. despite all the noise and everything that is going on, and there is a lot going on. I don't know if you saw, I'll show you some things last night. This is from the Iran Armed Forces. They're showing how their hyper-ballistic missiles are basically hitting Tel Aviv, and they're very, very, very scary when they hit. I mean, these things are like unstoppable. They're not stoppable by an iron dome. They're really, really, really almost unstoppable. Israel also humiliating Iran in the middle of a stream in the TV channel, in the TV station.
آنچه که دیدید، صدایی که شنیدید، صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلود استودیو.
So they actually bombed the broadcast station. Israel claims that they basically bombed. Let's close that. So Israel claims that they actually bombed the center of the propaganda, basically by bombing the state-owned television media. They bombed the center of the propaganda. Now, look, I'm not going to get into all the updates because there's a lot going on. There's different updates from different sides, but I think the main thing that we need to cover today is there a chance that the US is actually joining this battle? And you can see that the poly markets yesterday spiked to 70%. And the reason why poly markets spiked to 70% is because Trump actually stepped out of a G7 summit meeting yesterday in Canada to go back to DC, which originally people thought he was working on a ceasefire. And he came out and said, no, this is much, much, much bigger than a ceasefire. And then he tweeted, or he posted on True Social, that Iran should have signed the deal and everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. Can you imagine the President of the United States tells everyone to immediately leave Tehran, and then you can actually see how people actually started to leave. It was 3 a.m. and people were ordered to leave, and you can see that's what the streets of Tehran look like. I don't know where these guys are going. Maybe they left their private keys or their wallets, but everybody's basically leaving Tehran now. And this was at 3 a.m. And what Trump's basically saying is, look, I don't really feel like negotiating with the people of Iran. If they want to reach out to me, they know where to reach out. But up until now, I'm not really. He said he's not in the mood to negotiate much with Tehran. And I think it's a very critical decision point now with Iran. And I think that the US has to make a decision now. On the one hand, Israel has basically set them up to be able to come in and drop the final bombs that are required to destroy Iran's nuclear facilities. And from what I hear, only the US can do that because you need a special type of bomb that can go down underground 40 meters. And only the US has the carriers that can actually carry these bombs. So that is the one decision. Or they can go and negotiate a peace deal with Iran. Now, you got to work out, I don't know what the other calculations are, but if I was presented with that option that basically said, look, Israel's done everything. You just need to come in and drop the last bombs to eliminate the Iranian nuclear facilities, or negotiate with Iran and potentially get a ceasefire, and potentially they'll actually hold on to the negotiation. I know what I would do. I would just bomb. But I mean, let's see what Trump actually does. He says he's not really looking to negotiate. He's not really ready to negotiate. But as this article says, Trump's Iran's choice, last chance diplomacy or bunker busting bomb. That's pretty much where the choice is. So that's what's happening in the war. Remember yesterday I spoke to you about the Bank of Japan. They did meet this morning. No interest rate hike, as you can clearly see from the markets. They did see they're going to start tapering off their QT, meaning they're going to stop taking money out of circulation or slow down the money that they're taking out of circulation, which means that they're going to move. There's going to be more money in circulation effectively. So that's quite good. The US has their FOMC meeting tomorrow. Interestingly enough, this is a guy called the Fed Whisperer. His name is 𝗙𝗔𝗔𝗪. And usually the Fed whispers through 𝗙𝗔𝗪. So basically when the Fed want to not shock the markets with a certain decision, then the Fed effectively, they leak it through 𝗙𝗔𝗪. And that's why they call him the Fed Whisperer, right? So he tweeted it today and he said, there are good reasons to think the Fed would be preparing to cut interest rates this week due to recent improvements in inflation, if not for the risk that tariffs pose to prices. And he said in the past 5 years, I think people's perceptions of inflation have changed around what can happen. And so I think what he's saying is, look, the Fed is actually preparing to cut rates. They're not going to cut at this meeting. I would imagine that if there's no news around tariffs between this meeting and next meeting, the Fed actually would be able to cut. So I think what Jerome Powell's doing here is he's putting the ball in Trump's court and he's saying, look, if you can assure me around tariffs, I can assure you around rate cuts. That's what I think this communication is going. Because remember, it's very hard for Powell and Trump to actually be speaking to one another because of all the tensions. And now I think this is happening. Lastly, before we get into the big story of the day, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Pump.Fun's account suspended. Their founder's account is suspended. And this is quite big news because Pump.Fun is coming to market in the next 7 days. In the next 7 days, the Pump.Fun token should actually be launched. As you can see over here, the Pump.Fun token on the futures markets is still trading at between $5.3 and $6 billion fully diluted. But a lot of other accounts have also actually been suspended. Bullex has been suspended, Pump.Fun, 𝗙𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏. There is speculation that this is around an X API, which is basically that these guys have been improperly posting to X using some API, which is not actually allowed. And X has picked this up. And this is a violation of the X terms of service. Now, the funny thing is, I read a post by that he says, look, the founder of Pump.Fun, who's this like massive multi-billionaire, basically says, well, it's okay that they've suspended my account, but I paid $125 for the blue check mark. Please, can I get the $125 back? Guy's a billionaire. Anyway, at least he can laugh about it. I wonder how this actually gets resolved. All right, let's talk about the big story of the day, which is altcoins. And I mean, specifically how hard it's been to make money in the altcoins. Altcoins are in this very, very, very frustrating range where they go up one day and then 2 days later something happens and the altcoins come down again. They go up again and 2 days later they go up again. Sol is trading in this range between 140 and 160. ETH is trading between 2.4 and 2.7. And the altcoins just cannot catch a break. Like the altcoins simply cannot catch a break, right? And the truth is, it's been really, really, really hard to make money. But the reality is that if you're really good at crypto, you will always find a place to make money. If you have alpha, if you know the markets better than anybody else, you'll always find a way to make alpha. And I'll give you some examples, right? Last year, when the altcoins weren't moving, we went into meme coins and we landed up making a lot of money in meme coins, right? And then when the meme coins stopped moving and the altcoins still didn't move, we landed up making a lot of money in AI agents, right? So there's always a meta and there's always a place to actually make to make money if you have crypto alpha and you have crypto knowledge. The thing with crypto is that if you have early knowledge, or if you're willing to do more research than anybody else, you're almost guaranteed to make money. It's called information asymmetry. And in a new industry, because the big players aren't in here yet, because they don't have all their new services, because they don't have all the speed of information, it's very, very, very easy to land up making money if you can pick up on narratives pretty early. And that's what I'm doing my best to bring to you today. And so even though it's been almost impossible to make money in the altcoins, there actually is a meta where you can make a lot of money right now, right? And that meta, of course, is trading with Wall Street. Because whereas there may not be a lot of money right now in the crypto altcoin markets, the one place where we know that there's a ton of cash is actually on Wall Street, right? So on Wall Street, there's a ton of cash, and this cash is ready to invest. In fact, this cash is horny for investments, as you can see. Circle was one representation of that. Remember, they were going to come to market at like a $6 billion market cap. They're trading at a $35 billion market cap right now. It just shows you the appetite that Wall Street actually has, right? And you can see that it happened over there. Gemini then filed to go public. Bullish then filed to go public. And basically, we've got this whole meta of Wall Street, who is very, very, very excited to get into crypto. They want any single way to get into crypto. And effectively, what we're doing right now is we're tapping, the crypto market is actually tapping into a completely different market to raise capital. Before, we used to raise money from retail investors. Now we're raising money for Wall Street for crypto projects. And when you talk about raising money for crypto projects, there are many different types of crypto projects. The first one is these ICO projects, these IPO projects. eToro, Gemini, Kraken, which is coming up pretty soon, and a whole lot of others. Circle, which came onto the market. Blockchain.com, which might come onto the market. In fact, I'll actually do a whole show on all these potentially listed companies that you guys can actually, if you're smart enough, you can actually get in on those. That's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is a new place where you can actually make money on crypto, and what actually may save our bags. And I'll show you in a second what I mean, right? And that is talking about specifically treasury companies. Now, this tweet speaks about Bitcoin treasury companies, which is micro strategies like Bitcoin. But I want to talk about altcoin treasury companies. I don't actually want to talk about as much about Bitcoin treasury companies. Guys, what happened to our live prices? They're all on zero. Now you're making me feel like I'm in the middle of a collapse here. It's very, very hard to do a show when all of a sudden your bags have gone to zero. You know, I'm doing a crypto show here, bro. Okay. Still zero. All right, Josh will fix that. Yeah. All right. So, okay. So what is the meta? The meta is, as I said, it is crypto treasury companies. And effectively what these crypto treasuries companies are, they modeled around MicroStrategy. And when I say they model around MicroStrategy, effectively what they do is they take a company, the company is nearly dead or doesn't make a lot of revenues or doesn't have very, very good revenues. And what they do is they start buying up crypto and leveraging, the word leverage is very important here, leveraging their balance sheet to actually buy crypto. And the results, well, I guess MicroStrategy has laid out a playbook. And the playbook is an amazing, you get amazing results if you actually do this, right? So this is MicroStrategy. You can go back to about here when they started their Bitcoin strategy. They were trading at $12.71. They leveraged up their balance sheet, and today they're trading at 30x the price. And effectively, they're not the only ones. There's many others that have done it in different markets. And today I want to talk a little bit about how you can make money from these, but what you've actually got to watch out for. So I want to start off by saying, first of all, that I don't really like this meta. And I think that this meta is going to cause a massive collapse at some point. But as Haseeb says, I do think we've got about I don't know if it's 2 to 3 years. At least we have a 1 year window before this thing actually collapses. So before I show you what I don't like about the meta, let me show you what I do like about the meta. And the most important things about what I do like about the meta is the fact that these crypto companies actually create demand for our altcoins and for our Bitcoin. So just like the Bitcoin treasury companies created a lot of demand for Bitcoin, the altcoin treasury companies can actually create demand for altcoins. Because remember, these guys are doing these treasury companies not only with Bitcoin, but there's been ETH ones, there's been Sol ones, there's been Hyperliquid ones, there's been Tau ones. It's about creating treasury companies around all of these. So what do I love about these? As I said to you before, these companies basically are companies that are struggling, and then they take their balance sheet and they leverage up their balance sheet, take leverage on their balance sheet, and they use that leverage to actually go out and actually go and buy tokens. And so the thing that I love about it the most is that we're tapping into Wall Street's wallets, and these companies are raising money from Wall Street, and they're using that money to buy altcoins. And when they use that money to buy Bitcoin and altcoins, well, I love that because we're tapping into other avenues to raise money to buy our bags, which is like best case scenario. And just like 𝗙𝗍𝗪 has done an amazing job, and he is, I think, single-handedly holding up the Bitcoin price by buying $1 billion or almost $1 billion every single week, we could get into a scenario where these other companies are doing it for altcoins. So the first thing that I love about it is that you can actually make a lot of money doing it, right? And as I mentioned to you, so the first thing that I like about it is the fact that they're buying up on the markets, and they're buying up. I mean, this company called Tony G, they actually buy Hyperliquid, believe it or not. So they don't actually buy Bitcoin or ETH. They land up buying Hyperliquid. There's other companies, Cypherpunk, which rebranded its name to Sol Strategies. They actually buy Solana, right? They're like the MicroStrategy of Solana. There's this company called how do you spell that? Synaptogenics. And they are targeting a $100 million raise to invest in Tau, right? Let's see, are there any other ones? There are a whole lot of other ones. So what do I love about it? I love the fact that these companies are raising money to buy our bags and specifically to buy altcoins. The second thing that I love about it is that there is a lot of money to be made. There is a ton of money to actually be made. You can see it over here, right? Every time that these companies, which are traditionally dead companies, shell companies, companies with very bad or rotting core businesses, every time that they make an announcement that they're going to buy Bitcoin or ETH or Solana or Tau or whatever it is, the stocks actually rise a lot, right? You can see this one, the stock went from 80 cents to $11. This one over here, the blockchain group, you see they made an announcement they made an announcement here. Where was their announcement? This is their announcement. They made the announcement here. On the 5th of November, they made an announcement. And look what happened from the 5th of November. The stock basically went from around 33 cents to now $5.29, right? And you can see the H100 group did exactly the same thing. GameStop made an announcement that they're going to buy Bitcoin, and its stock shot up completely. So, I mean, and I think the last one that we saw yesterday was Tron. Tron made the announcement yesterday that they were going to go public and effectively start buying Tron tokens on the open market and leveraging and creating a MicroStrategy. They did it through a vehicle, which was called SRM Entertainment. And yesterday, there was a little bit of insider trading a few days before, but the stock went from about 59 cents to now it's trading at $7.76. So what does that mean? Well, I like it, as I said, because number one, it creates demand for the altcoins using Wall Street's wallets. Number two, it causes it causes the stock prices to actually jump, and there's a lot of money that you can actually land up making here. So let me show you how to actually make the money, because making the money is actually not very difficult. It's pretty easy to actually land up making this money. Let me show you how, right? So the formula to actually make this money, it's like the easiest thing in the world. There's two ways to do it. The first thing is either you hear through a friend or a friend of a friend, or maybe through like a paid group like front runners or others, where people are running around looking to raise money for these companies. And often what they do is they tell you which listed company they're going to get into, and you land up buying the listed company way before, because you know they're raising money for Treasury strategy. And when they announce the Treasury strategy, you land up making a lot of money. That's one way you can do it. So the problem with this way over here is that you need to have effectively inside information. And our friends at the SEC, they don't like it when you trade on inside information. They have a severe allergy to people who trade with inside information. Sometimes they have to take like antihistamine, sometimes they take injections, but they have a severe allergy to people that actually trade on inside information. So that's one way to do it. If you do hear in the market people that are raising money, and you know they're raising money for a specific strategy under a specific ticker, you buy that ticker, obviously you'll end up making money. But most of us don't have access to that, or we don't have enough access to it. The good news is that there is another way to actually do it. What's the other way to actually do it? Well, it's actually very simple, believe it or not. Just trade when the announcement comes out. So yesterday, Tron made an announcement that they are forming a MicroStrategy type company. That was June 16 at 2:34 p.m. And if you look at this chart over here, now actually, I'm going to take it down to the 1 hour chart just so that you can see. Okay, so the announcement was made somewhere around there. And you see, after the announcement, there was actually a lot of upside to be made. So if you've got a very fast finger over here, and it's not even very fast. Like if you've got a fast finger, you don't have to be very fast. You can trade on it. Now, this wasn't the only one. In fact, there are many, many, many others. Like if you look at when GameStop made the announcement, the same thing actually happened. Have a look at this one. This one's called No Labs, and they adopted a Bitcoin strategy with 1,000 Bitcoin acquisition. Okay, so again, what is the template here? The template is these are usually really bad companies. They're either losing money, have closed down their core business, or have a very bad core business, and they're looking for a narrative to reinvent themselves. And the best narrative, if you're a narrative hunter, what you do when you're narrative hunting is you look for the narrative that gives you the best return premium. In other words, when the market hears that news, it bounces. Now, on that note, I want to actually tell you a little story. In 2001, I was trading internet stocks, right? Oh, it was the internet bubble. And when the internet bubble happened, there was an announcement by Starbucks that they were turning themselves into an internet company. And how they were putting internet in all their stores. And that shot up Starbucks' price, because they were now not a coffee company, they were an internet company. Which means that if you have a company and your company is effectively dying, or your core business is dying, which was the case for like MicroStrategy. Just have a look at MicroStrategy's share price over here, right? Their company was pretty much dying until they made their Bitcoin announcement, which was somewhere over here. And then the stock actually shot up, right? So how do you make money? Wait for the announcement. As soon as the announcement comes up, Friday, June 6th, Known Labs, have a look here. Let's go over here. Here is the actual announcement over here. And let's look at what happened to them on June 6th. Bang, all the way up, 500% on crypto stocks. And this happens again and again and again. 𝗙𝗵𝗪, which is Joseph Lubin, went into this 𝗙𝗵𝗪 or SBET company, which is again a dying company, no core business. They made an announcement. The announcement was that 𝗙𝗵𝗪 Gaming announces a $425 million private placement to initiate an Ethereum Treasury strategy. Bang! What happened was the market actually went up. And I can show you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these examples. It's always the same playbook. Pretty much wait for the announcement. As soon as the announcement comes out, you basically enter the thing. Here's Sol Strategies, company rebranded to Sol Strategies over here. They announced that and the price went up 4,000%. You know, the trend is your friend until the end of the trend. And right now, the trend is your friend. And the trend is telling you that when these companies announce a Bitcoin strategy or a crypto strategy, they'll end up going up. Here's this 𝗙𝗵𝗪𝗀𝗡 announced that they're starting to buy Tau. It was trading at 250. It went all the way up to $5. Tony G, they announced that they're going to buy Hyperliquid tokens. And when they bought Hyperliquid tokens, 756% move. There is a lot of money. Oh, someone says XRP runs Kryptonite. There actually was a company that did XRP. I'll try and find them for you. They failed, just for the record. I think I deleted it because they failed. So what's the formula? The formula is very, very, very simple. Like you don't have to be very smart to work out how to make money from this meta. Literally, you buy as the announcement. You load money into a stocks trading account. If you don't have one, can you put a link to markets.com? There's a link below. We'll put a link below to markets.com. You can open up an account. You can use your crypto to actually trade stocks on markets.com. You can also trade stocks on Bybit. There's a link below on Bybit if you want 50% off your stocks trading. But effectively, you basically load up an account with crypto. So it's not like you have to take money off the rails. Using markets.com or using Bybit, you can actually just keep money in your normal account. And then when these announcements come out, or when you think these announcements come out, as the news comes out, literally, you can actually watch it from the banter bubbles. You go into the newsroom over here, and you can see that every time there's something to trade, you can just trade it. And basically, that's what you call news trading. News trading is when you get an announcement, and that announcement basically moves the price, and you actually end up making money. And so right now, if you want to make money in altcoins, it's very tough. But what you can do is you can make money trading these stocks specifically on the announcement. And for now, and I say this for now because it's going to end at some point. For now, if you catch them early, Wall Street is still horny on these narratives. And when they hear the announcement, they all ape into these crypto companies. It's just like the .com boom. It's just like the social media boom. It's one of these Wall Street frenzies. And Wall Street has a lot more money than crypto, in which they actually end up buying all these frenzies. So that's why I like it. I like it because they land up buying our altcoins and that there's a lot of money to actually be made. Now let me tell you what the issues are and what the reasons are that I don't fundamentally like this thing, right? And there's two reasons why I really, really, really don't like this wave of things that are actually happening. And the first one is that these are extractive from the retail investor, right? So these structures, even though they seem like clean and legitimate structures, where these companies are just creating these amazing strategies that retail can invest in to get crypto exposure, the reality is not that. The reality is that a bunch of insiders are milking and fleecing retailers using these structures. Let me explain to you how and why this happens, right? Imagine that I've got 1,000 ETH, right? And my 1,000 ETH right now are valued at $2.5 million, right? So 1,000 ETH, more or less $2,500 per ETH, more or less. I've got 1,000 ETH. That gives me $2.5 million worth of ETH. And I'm happy with my $2,500 worth of ETH, right? I've got it. I know I've got $2.5 million. It's amazing, right? Great. And then someone phones me. This company called 𝗙𝗵𝗪, they phone me. And they say, listen, Ran, we know that you have ETH. And we know that you're not actually doing anything with your ETH except staking them, right? So let me give you a deal. We're going to take your ETH and we're going to put them into this company called 𝗙𝗵𝗪. And we're going to use your ETH as part of our raise announcement, right? So what do? I say, okay, well, you want to take my ETH. what are you going to give me? And they say, listen, what we're going to give you is we're going to give you equity in the company at face value or at par value. So it's like you put in $2,500 worth of ETH and you get $2,500 worth of equity. I'm like, okay, so you take my ETH and you give me equity, and I can easily just sell that equity and have ETH, right? Not bad. Not bad. But make it sweeter for me. Make it sweeter for me, because if you just take my ETH and you give me $2.5 million worth of equity, that's not a good enough deal for me. And they say, you know what? Even though you think it's not a good enough deal, as soon as we make this announcement that we are going into crypto, the market is going to shoot up and give us this crazy premium, much, much, much higher than the net asset value of the ETH. In fact, 20.7% times, 20.7 times higher, 4.4 times higher, 5.07x higher, I'm like, holy shit, are you saying that if I give you $2.5 million worth of ETH, as soon as you make the announcement that you've raised all this capital, the market is going to increase, is going to trade at 4.9 times the value of the ETH, and I'm going to be able to sell my stock immediately? No fucking brainer. Here's my ETH. You get it? So what these guys are doing is they're approaching a bunch of their friends, insiders, right? Here we are. Here's a list of the insiders. 𝗏𝗏𝗏, Electric Capital, Pantera Capital, Arrington Capital, Galaxy Digital. All these companies already have ETH. And when they announce a private placement of $425 million to initiate an Ethereum strategy, all they're doing is they're going to these guys and saying, how much ETH have you all got? Cool, $425 million. Amazing. Now, let's see, because I think the market's seen right through this one, but let's see what 𝗏𝗏𝗏 is actually trading at today. I think the market saw through this one, by the way. So it's probably not the best one. Oh, look at that. It's trading at $771 million. But hold on, whoa. You've only got $425 million worth of ETH. Yes, but the rest is like this premium. It's like money that doesn't exist. It's a premium for the leverage that we're going to take in the future to buy more ETH. You understand what's happening here? So the reason why I don't like it is because you think that this is, Wall Street thinks that they're investing into a clean, legit strategy, whereas what they're investing in is they're investing into these insider schemes where insiders are giving their tokens at face value and they're getting the risk premium. Let me show you another very cool example of that, right? Tron goes public. Where is my Tron article? Here, Tron goes public. The first leg in the transaction is, let's have a look here. Let's have a look. Let's just, I've got to find this for you guys. Hold on. I have to find for you the part where they say that he's basically taking his Tron tokens. The deal will involve Tron injecting $210 million of token assets into the new company. Okay, that's amazing. What's the company valued at? Let's go have a look. SRM Entertainment. But wait. You're saying, okay, this is before the interest. The market capitalization is right now $131 million, and it went there from this. Effectively, these guys are leveraging up their tokens, and they're using Wall Street money as the leverage, right? And then they can basically exit and sell their shares. Easiest way for the insiders to make money in the world. That's the first reason why I don't like it. The second reason why I don't like it is because anything that creates leverage can be unwound, right? And what these companies are doing is they're creating magic money out of nothing. As soon as they announce an internet strategy, before they've actually even implemented it, the share prices actually go up. And the retail investor is left paying the premium. And effectively, that creates leverage in the system. Now, leverage is not bad if the market's going up. But what happens to leverage when the market goes down? You know exactly what happens. Every time the market goes down, the leverage gets unwound, and basically retail land up losing their money, and then they never land up coming back. And that's why the second reason why I don't like the strategy. So again, just to summarize, there is a massive frenzy happening out there in Wall Street. There is a lot of money to be made. The reason why I like it is because they're buying our altcoins and we know how to make the money. The easiest way to actually make this money is effectively by just trading on the announcement, at least for now. But the reason why I don't think that this is good long-term is because it's basically riddled with insider deals, and Wall Street doesn't know better than to try and find these insider deals and realize that insiders are just leveraging up their own existing tokens, number one, at the expense of retail, and two, that this extra leverage will eventually unwind and hurt market participants, and then we're going to fight for years and years and years to get Wall Street back into crypto. And that's why I don't really like it. Am I investing in these companies? Abso-fucking-lutely not. If anything, I want to be one of the insiders that gives them my tokens and leverages up the tokens. Am I going to trade these companies? Abso-fucking-lutely yes, I'm trading these tokens. Where am I trading them? Number one, I'm trading them on Bybit. Why? Because Bybit now allows me to use crypto assets to trade stocks, right? So look here. So let me show you. So if you go to Bybit, I can't show it to you on screen, right? Unfortunately, I can't show it to you on the screen because it's only on the app. But you can actually trade. You can actually trade stocks with 50% discount. Now that means you can trade Apple, you can trade gold, you can trade silver. If you just use this link over here, download the app, you'll get an amazing deposit bonus and you'll get 50% off all your trading fees. Let's quickly look at our 𝗏𝗏 account over here. It is -1678 on the P&L. But remember, if you open an account on 𝗏𝗏 between now and the 10th of July, you can actually get that account. All right, chaps, I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friend.